I'm Mark.
And I'm Josh.
And this is Alter Ego Comics TV for the week of March 30th, 2016. I'm back. Josh did an admirable job last week flying solo, and oddly enough, his reaction to Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice was almost identical to mine. So, just so we're on the same page here, we both really didn't care for it. So, go team. This week, we have a relatively small batch of books. It is a 5-week month, so usually DC would be putting out a bunch of annuals, but because they're headed into Rebirth, which we'll touch on at the end of the episode, we've got a fewer than usual number of books. But we have an 800-pound gorilla this week, which is Sam Wilson, Captain America. Or is it Captain America, Sam Wilson? I think it's Captain America, Sam Wilson. Issue number 7, which is actually the 75th anniversary issue of Steve Rogers' Captain America. And this is an Avengers standoff tie-in, so the bulk of the issue is related to that. We get some great moments with Sam and Bucky, and are we still calling him Bucky? I mean, they call him Bucky in the comic.
What's his name?
He's Winter Soldier. Or Buck. My 6-year-old calls him Buck. from watching the cartoon series, yeah. And Old Man Steve. So cool stuff going on in Pleasant Hill. And if you are at all interested in reading the new Steve Rogers Captain America series, where Steve is back to his normal self with powers and blonde hair and not an old codger, then you might want to pick this issue up. In addition to that stuff, we get a couple backup stories celebrating 75 years of Cap, one by Mr. Avengers, Joss Whedon, with art by John Cassaday, so the team behind Astonishing X-Men from many years ago, which was all kinds of awesome. We get a story written and drawn by Tim Sale, most recently of Captain America White fame, and we also get a Greg Rucka, Mike Perkins story, if I'm not mistaken. It was Mike Perkins. And they're all very, very good. So lots of bang for your buck. This is a $5.99 issue, but it's got tons of content. Actually, I think they could have priced this at $9.99, and it would have been more appropriate, but
if it had Deadpool on the cover, it would have sold at $9.99.
Yeah. So you should totally get it. Also a very cool cover by Alex Ross.
So is this cover... Are they subtly implying that Captain America is Hitler? Steve Rogers? It's a recreation of the classic cover. In the classic cover, Bucky's down in the corner,
right,
and Cap is punching Hitler.
Yeah. And now Captain Sam is punching Captain Steve. I don't think that's what they were going for. I think it's an homage to that cover, but right. I don't think they're saying that Steve is Adolf Hitler. That's the twist.
The twist. Next up for me, we've got All New X-Men number 7, written by Dennis Hopeless with art by the illustrious Mark Begley. He's an illustrious illustrator. That's how it works. All New X-Men is good. It doesn't have quite the same tone that Bendis has had. It has sort of its own feel. The team's a little different. We've got some additional people, and we're missing a few people. But it's good. And what I think it's really good at is re-examining what we know about the X-Men, especially in this case, their villains. The last 2 issues, not this one, but the previous 2, were about the team fighting the Blob, and it was not a joke. The Blob was a serious threat, and it went down. It was a hardcore fight, which was awesome. And then this issue, the end of the last issue and most of this issue, is basically Scott versus the Toad. And again, the Toad is in a dark place. They made Toad scary again, and I didn't think that was even possible. I'm not sure he was ever scary before. So if you like the old classic X-Men villains and you want to see them in a modern era in a way that makes sense, this is the place to check it out.
Why don't you do your next one, then we'll go to...
I'll do my next one.
Do your next one.
This is the time of year when it comes heavy on my mind that the world is weird. The world is different. People are changing. People are busy. They maybe don't have time in their life for the Son of God. But you should make time in your life for the Lion of Olympus, Hercules, son of Zeus, because his book is amazing. Dan Abnett just knocks it out of the park with the writing, and Luke Ross. Is that the Ross? Yes, Luke Ross on art. This is a story that is very much about the changing of the guard. If you read Neil Gaiman's American Gods, there's definitely some influence there. But it's about what it means to be obsolete in a modern world. And printed in a physical comic book, there may be a parallel there, or, but so the old gods, Hercules, Gilgamesh, all the various mythological figures, are up against these new gods of the internet and the tweets and the whatnot, and it's just epic.
Lord of the Tweets?
Yes. It is epic and awesome, and it is everything I want to read in a comic book.
To be fair, Josh loves Hercules.
That is true.
And
Full
Dan
disclosure.
Abnett, and Dan Abnett. So you put those two together.
I will be there.
All right. Since I wasn't around last week, I want to touch on or highlight a book from last week that I highlight every time it comes out. Superman, Lois, and Clark #6 was out last week, written by Dan Jurgens. And Lee Weeks is back on art, so that makes me happy. So, two reasons to touch on this. This is hands down an awesome Superman book because it involves the are we calling it pre-Flashpoint or pre-New 52?
Pre-Flashpoint.
The pre-Flashpoint Superman and Lois, so the Superman and Lois that we all have been familiar with for decades, and their young son, John, who are now on the regular Earth. I don't know what we're calling it, Earth Prime, Earth 1, Earth whatever.
It's Earth 0, I think.
Where all of the DC action normally takes place, there are now two Supermen. So there's the pre-Flashpoint Superman and Lois with their son, and then there's the New 52 gang. So this is just top notch. But the real reason to talk about it is we are going to now move into the segment of the program where we talk about DC's Rebirth press conference, which was held a week ago at WonderCon. And one of the things that I noticed during it is that this version of Superman, the pre-Flashpoint Superman, is still going to exist in after Rebirth, and it looks like is going to be the main Superman. So we've got the Superman solicits in front of us for June, and it talks about, for example, in Superman Rebirth, the world needs a Man of Steel, but can Superman protect the world while raising a super son with his wife Lois Lane? In Superman #1, the last son of Krypton must decide whether to help his young son use his new and rapidly increasing abilities or hide them from the world. In Action Comics, Superman returns to Metropolis in time to meet the new Clark Kent. So I think that the pre-Flashpoint Superman and Lois are going to be the staple.
Yeah.
Now, whether the new Clark Kent is a depowered New 52 Superman, I don't know. Maybe the New 52 Superman is the one that bites the dust in DC Universe Rebirth #1, which is an 80-page spectacular coming out on May 25th and launches the Rebirth universe, or the Rebirth storyline, the Rebirth whatever it is. We don't really know. So that's kind of where we are with Superman. I was excited to hear that Dan Jurgens is going to continue writing this character in Action Comics. I was disappointed to see that Lee Weeks is nowhere to be found in the Rebirth solicits. Any thoughts on Superman, the Superman titles from Rebirth?
No, I think you hit the primary stuff. Superman #1's Pete Tomasi, whom I love, so that'll be good.
Superman Rebirth 1 and Superman 1 are both Pete Tomasi. So that's
right,
cool.
well, because all of the Rebirth titles are tied to the book, aren't they? Or are they not? I guess not.
I don't know.
But it's the team of Gleason and Tomasi who've been on Batman and Robin for a while together, writing the Damian Adventures. So now we've got them writing about
Damian
a super
Adventures.
son.
We should talk about the one-shot DC Universe Rebirth #1 is written by Geoff Johns with art by a stable of Johns' cronies, including Gary Frank, Ivan Reis, Ethan Van Sciver, Phil Jimenez, and others. Presumably a sketch by Dan DiDio in the back of the book.
One page by Jim Lee.
Do not skip to the last page. Do not let a friend or message board ruin this comic for you. Don't say we didn't warn you. So look for that May 25th. I'm excited for that. Let's talk about the Batman books. What do we have going on in Bat books?
So we've got Scott Snyder's co-writing the first kickoff book, the Rebirth book with Tom King, but otherwise is not in evidence in the first solicits, right?
Right. Now this is for stuff coming out in June. They
Right.
did mention that Snyder is sticking around. He signed an exclusive deal with DC to be the new writer of All-Star Batman when they resurrect that title.
Well, it's not resurrected. It's a new title.
No, it's an all-new...
The original title was All-Star Batman and Robin.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So All-Star Batman is an anthology book. It sounds like the stories will take place out of continuity with whatever they want to do.
Right.
Artists on the book include John Romita Jr. and some other people. Jock and somebody else. I'm drawing a blank.
But yeah. And Snyder specifically said he was going to be re-envisioning or sort of reinterpreting a lot of the Bat Rogues Gallery in that book. So Tom King's got
the Rebirth one-shot for Batman, and he's the new regular writer of Batman, with art by David Finch.
Yes, and then James Tynion, who's been working on the Eternals and several other Bat family titles for the last couple of years, is going to be on Detective. Both Batman and Detective are twice shipping books, right?
Detective actually sounds very cool. I think it's going back to its roots in the 70s and kind of being a Batman family book where Batman and Batwoman are, running the Bat Squad in Gotham City, which include Red Robin, Spoiler, Cassandra Cain, and Clayface.
I'm not sure I'm comfortable calling the 70s the roots of Detective Comics.
No, there was that period in the 60s and 70s where Detective was a
The Bat
team
family,
book.
yeah.
It wasn't just Batman. It wasn't Batman and Robin. You would have Batgirl. You'd have Batwoman. You'd have all kinds of people.
Yeah.
So Batman, looks good actually.
Yeah.
Aquaman Rebirth. Should you talk about this because it's Dan Abnett?
Well, he's been on Aquaman. That's one of the ones. That's not actually a change. That's the same writer as it is right now.
So yeah, Aquaman is back with Dan Abnett. Not a whole lot of change there. This next one, though, I'm really psyched about. The Flash is being written by Joshua Williamson, who is one of our favorite creator-owned writers. Wait, some creator owns Joshua Williamson. He writes Birthright and Nailbiter and has done lots of other cool stuff. So he's got some cool ideas for The Flash. He's taking that book over.
And it says, warning, do not read this issue until after you've read DC Universe Rebirth #1.
Yeah, this is Flash Rebirth #1. You don't want to read this until after you read DC Universe Rebirth #1. And Flash Fact, 2016 is the 60th anniversary of Barry Allen becoming the Flash. There you go.
Is that right?
That's what
I thought
Joshua
Showcase was
Williams
in
says.
55.
I don't think so. I think Showcase was in the 60s.
Okay.
Green Lanterns. Oh, look, Geoff Johns is actually writing the Rebirth Green Lantern title, along with Sam Humphries. They're co-writing it, with art and cover by Ethan Van Sciver.
Has Humphries been working at DC previously?
I don't think so.
Yeah, he's
This
mostly
is his
been
first
Marvel
book.
up to now.
Yeah. And then Sam Humphries will be the sole writer on a book called Green Lanterns, which focuses on the two newest Green Lanterns, Simon Baz, which we really haven't seen much of since Johns introduced him, or maybe he's in the books I don't read.
He's in the team books, but he hasn't had much solo work.
And Jessica Cruz.
And she's the crazy one, right?
She's the one
from the Justice League?
Yeah, from the Injustice. What are they called? The Crime Syndicate?
Well, right, but she's with the...
She's Power Ring, right.
Right.
But she actually gets a Green Lantern Corps ring. So that could be interesting.
I would hope so.
I don't know much about Benjamin Percy, but he's the one writing Green Arrow Rebirth and Green Arrow.
And then Greg Rucka, your friend and mine, will be back on Wonder Woman. What's it been, 15 years, 20 years since he wrote Wonder Woman?
I don't think it's been 20 years.
I don't know. It was,
I think he was
early
writing
2000s?
Yeah, in the early 2000s. For me, this was the best announcement of the press conference, that Greg Rucka will be writing Wonder Woman, and he's got some interesting plans. Wonder Woman is shipping twice a month. The odd number issues are going to be penciled by Liam Sharp, and the even number issues are going to be penciled by Nicola Scott. The even numbered issues will be Wonder Woman Year One, the story that Greg Rucka has been wanting to tell for a long time, and the odd number issues will be set in present day. So that could get a little confusing, but I'm still really looking forward to it.
No, that sounds awesome, actually. And of course, we've got Titans Rebirth, with written by Dan Abnett, art by
Brett Booth
and Norman Repmond. And it sounds like we're getting the classic Titans back together. We've got Garth and Donna Troy and Arsenal and whatnot and Nightwing, because the world will not survive without a Nightwing for very long. Titans are back. They never go out of style. They're always good. And Dan Abnett is also always good.
Dan Abnett never goes out of style.
I'm out of pages. Was that all your pages?
That was it, yeah.
Okay.
That's it for June, but there'll be more coming. They announced a new Birds of Prey book. The new creative team on Batgirl, which has Raphael Albuquerque doing the artwork, and Hope Larson taking on the writing. All kinds of cool stuff. I actually was impressed by the Rebirth press conference. It got me excited about what is to come, because what we have now is not that awesome. So
yeah, what happened to Geoff Johns? Geoff Johns has always been good with a crowd, but he was like freaking Tony Robbins. They said you couldn't make Booster Gold cool, and then everybody cheered, and it was very... It was well put together.
I think it's because we haven't seen much of Johns in the comic book universe, because he's been so
He's been in Hollywood. They taught him how to pitch.
Yeah. I could say
but really, the 6,000-pound gorilla in the room is that Affleck let slip last night that he and Johns are doing the Batman solo movies together.
Really?
He basically what was it exactly? Something like, I'm Geoff Johns is a great guy. This is my Ben Affleck impression. Every time I'm like, oh, I love this comic, he's like, yeah, I wrote that. And I think he's just screwing with me now, because he couldn't have written all these. he talked about working together, and like that's super awesome to me. If you get Affleck as the director and Johns, who has a significant affection and knowledge for the universe, that'll be a great flick.
Yes, I would prefer to see Johns as a writer on some DC book or DC movies and not just producer, as he was with Batman v Superman and Green Lantern. So let him get in there, and DC Warner Brothers needs a brain trust the same way Marvel did in the beginning, where it was Bendis and Quesada and a handful of other people. I think Fraction was actually involved at one point with that brain trust. Really, Warner Brothers, rely on the writers who wrote the stuff to begin with, and then don't tip it on its head and make it your own. just do better, please. So anyway, Rebirth looks like it's going to be better than what we have right now from DC. They're obviously aware that what they have now isn't working, isn't really clicking with a lot of fans. So I'm excited to see where it goes. I think the press conference got a lot of people fired up. I like the way they handled it. And looking forward to seeing what happens with the Rebirth one-shot on May 25th. So no top 5 this week because we're running long and we went through all of this other stuff with Rebirth. But if you enjoyed the episode, we always appreciate it if you give us a thumbs up and post any questions or comments below. We'll definitely check those out, and we'll see you next time.